We've played a lot of Moonshadow so far. Moonshadow is just like this new modern staple that I think is opening up the format in a really big way. Moonshadow and Nethergoyf are two really pushed black one drops that synergize kind of with all the same cards. Like both Moonshadow and Goyf love to play Street Wraith. They love to play Mishra's Bauble. They love to get cards in the graveyard really quick. And so Rakdos, Grixis, Golgari, and now Mono Black have all been somewhat viable. There's a ton of ways to play the archetype. We haven't even gotten to all of them. We still need to play an Oculus like counterspell build that I'm trying to hammer out. This is the biggest version we've played. This version is going bigger and grindier than any other version we played. We've got Urza Saga. We have Overlord of the Balemurk. We've got Obsessive Pursuits. We are going a bit bigger. We're going a bit later in this version. Still maintaining a lot of the aggressive elements with Moonshadow, Nethergoyf, Cecil, but I think you're just a little bit more okay, kind of taking your time in this version and outgrinding some of your opposing decks. A real mid-range deck where you're pivoting from aggro to control depending on the board state and depending on the matchup. Did I mention Hex Parasite? I don't think I mentioned Hex Parasite yet. So this is kind of a card that ties the room together in a big way. You can tutor this off Urza Saga. You can spend X mana and pay a life, or spend X+1 mana to remove X counters from a permanent. This is really nice with Overlord of the Balemurk. It lets you like just attack with your Overlord that you impendinged earlier. Good way to scam this card and have reliable ways to just tutor into play. But you can also peel the counters off of your Moonshadow too, which is another way to power this card up. Although, as we've seen, Moonshadow does a lot of its own self-empowering. So, let's see. So as far as Airship goes, I know this is going to be a card we get a lot of questions about. I think that Airship was a card that it's very good if the format is very, very blink heavy. It is phenomenal in that matchup. It's pretty good against Boros. It's pretty good against like most normal fair decks. I think that it's still a card I would like to main deck if I'm playing creature combo, because creature combo is really fast usually, but very weak to removal spells. I think Airship is just a card that kind of solos the board state, and you can power it out early with like Tower and Flare sometimes. So I'm still like Airship and like Soul Trader. But as far as in these grindy decks, with the metagame being a little bit lower to the ground right now, I don't think that this is a very good time to be main decking Airship. Maybe that changes. I do think that there's maybe a like Phyrexian Tower Moonshadow Airship deck that plays Moonshadow, Goyf, Stitcher Supplier, Phyrexian Tower, can power out Airship a bit earlier, then Stitcher Supplier grows Moonshadow and Nethergoyf, but there seems to be some structural issues with building your deck like that, so I'm trying to figure that out. So we're on the play. And we have Urza Saga plus Overlord Scam. I think I'm just gonna mulligan the 5-lander that one of 5 lands, and one of my cards is a 5 lands, and one of my cards is a Lavaspur Boots. Okay, I'm gonna keep R6 on the play. I'm gonna lead on the Thoughtseize. Might take a removal spell for the Moonshadow. Right, let's take that Witch Enchanter, I think. And then this is definitely going to be a spot where, as soon as I mentioned the blink heavy metagame, where we need them to miss a land, probably. Just running Balemurk straight up, no ways to cheat it. No, like I mentioned in deck tech, Hex Parasite scams it. So good to get this in underneath the Emperor, or sorry, the Orcish Bowmaster there. They do hit the second land. Now they don't have white mana here because they have Boggart Bog and Verge, so they're holding up Orcish Bowmaster in the spot. So even if I crack a fetch, they can ping the Bowmaster and double block. So I think I am just gonna chill and make a Saga token here. One thing that's kind of nice about making a Saga token is all of a sudden my opponent's like, oh, I kind of want to Bowmaster the Saga token, but I also want to use my mana because I have a ton of action. So, they did rip a land, but it was not nearly the worst land for us, for them to draw. Since they are, I guess they are just a white source away from the Wisp, but couldn't play the Felia here. Imagine if that Saga was like Field of Ruin. Do you think that would be better here? I mean, I'm imagining. I think Saga's better. Currently imagining. So they play the Godless Shrine untapped, and then they pass the turn. So we know that their hand is Wisp, Emperor, Felia, Overlord. We draw our own copy of Orcish Bowmasters. A little bit interested in the Hex Parasite. I'm probably a little bit more interested in the Vexing Bauble. I think the Moonshadow is going to be large enough and probably also in charge enough here. So we'll see if they want to do any double blocking with Felia. They could technically triple block my... Oh. Yeah, they could triple block my Moonshadow here. I'm just going to go ahead and get a basic Swamp so I can push the Felia. But we want to be getting more damage in with the Moonshadow. We're definitely the aggro deck in this matchup. So my opponent's down to 14. They're going to play their Felia, I assume. And then we're going to wait on them to cast the Overlord before we fire off the Fatal Push, I think. Instead, they cast Flicker Wisp, so I guess their plan is to bounce both tokens. It's actually kind of great for me that they're doing this. It's kind of great for me that they're doing this, because now they don't have the Flicker Wisp to scam the Overlord. So their hand is Emperor, Overlord, 2 mystery cards. Solitude offline over there. They go to an attack with the Bowmaster. So I guess with us wanting to cycle the Vexing Bauble, get the Mishra's Bauble in play here, we're just going to Bowmaster their Bowmaster instead of Bowmastering the Wisp. I wonder how much I should play around second Bowmaster by like pushing this or not. I think I'm actually just going to be pretty happy if I trade Construct for Wisp, although that does let them get the... I actually don't think I'm that happy with that trade, so let's kill this. And just leave the Bauble in play for now. So the hand is Emperor, Overlord, and 2 spells. Solitude back online, with us having sacked the Vexing Bauble. Now, are they going to target the... They target the Wisp, potentially just going to, like, reset the Moonshadow for a turn here. -1 damage from Bauble. If I sack the Bauble, then I shrink the Construct, so it's the same amount of damage. Yeah, it's +1 damage, because it's sacked Vexing Bauble, lets us play Mishra's Bauble, Construct's the same size, Moonshadow's 1 bigger. So we could save this to grow the Moonshadow. I think I just want to have something to do this turn, so let's do that. They've got a Felia on top, a little bit scary. We draw a Fatal Push and an Orcish Bowmaster. So we could Fatal Push Emperor of Bones, Bowmaster Flicker Wisp, and put them down to 2 life points. Seems fine to me. You know, this is getting sacked anyway, so that's, you know, you could call it a spew, but just getting them down to 2 here is huge. We also get the Moonshadow back. Said that Emperor Idyllic Range never came to fruition. I mean, it's still there. One of these days, I think we'll get to it. So they have 2 life points. They got 4 cards in their hand. One of them's an Overlord of the Balemurk. One of them's a Felia. The other 2 are also spells. Not going to be Solitude, almost definitely. I guess they could just... The Felia could just now have been the white card for Solitude. Is Bowmaster a new change? We were playing this deck for the first time. I know we've played a lot of decks like it, but This is the first big Moonshadow deck we've played. The more first like slower mid-rangey Moonshadow deck. So they're targeting Bowmaster, which they can kill one Bowmaster. They can have two blockers. I guess they kill Moonshadow. Have two blockers. Block. Third blocker here. So I guess they do go to one. Oh, they fuck up. Have I tried to brew with Crusader, like the Crusader and Rottenmouth Viper and Moonshadow? I'm at the moment, I think that there is some overlap with Viper, Moonshadow. I haven't necessarily felt like, oh, so they have Bowmaster in play. I haven't necessarily felt like that's a great direction to go down. All right, so they're just dead, right? Because they have to put two blockers with the Moonshadow or they die, and then they only have one blocker left and they're dead on board. So unless they have Solitude as the one unknown card, we win. One thing I was thinking with Abigail Shadow decks is you can Abigail your Bowmaster token. Do we think this is something that would be done often? Or I guess, I mean, if the Bowmaster token is really big somehow, then you do it, but that doesn't seem like it'll come up very often. So I mean, it's not nothing. All right, so I'm going to bring in the airships. I'm going to bring in the edicts. I think I might cut the boots. These games end up getting pretty grindy. Boots just kind of being a little dead sometimes. Can be rough. I'm going to keep in the pursuits. I'm going to keep in the Bowmasters. I think we cut Cecil number 2 pretty comfortably. I might want to go down a Nethergoyf just to be a little bit more resilient to post-board graveyard hate. Probably do want to play all 4 Thoughtseize, especially on the draw. Don't want to cut any more 1-mana creatures. I guess we can cut the Nihil Spellbomb. I see a lot of people thinking Nihil Spellbomb is good against Overlord, but I guess it is good against Emperor. Although it's not that good against Emperor, they just still will get some value out of it. Yeah. Just haven't liked it that much of the matchup. Versus what kind of decks do you start in Phoenix? Mid-range? Yeah, mid-range. So Boros, Jeskai, Esper. I guess I don't know if our opponent's black-white. Yeah, it is for these kind of matchups, yeah. When you cut creatures, would you cut Balemurk ever? I mean, potentially, but it's silly to cut Balemurk, and in this matchup, it's like our best card. Maybe Airship's now our best card. The sacrificing a clue check and trigger Moonshadow. No, it's only cards. And clue is not a card. So let me see if I like my top card. I don't. Let's go and shuffle that away. Then I guess I want to cycle my Wraiths because of Bowmaster. Might be a game where we Hex Parasite the Overlord now. Although I don't know that we want to play the Saga turn 2 if my opponent leaves up 2 mana, because then we might open ourselves up to Felia Overlord. But instead of that, they tap out for the Emperor of Bones. Next, so the Mishra's Bauble to shrink my Goyf. So now it's a little bit dangerous maybe to impending the Overlord. If I graveyard another copy of Overlord, then all of a sudden, if I graveyard another copy of Overlord, then all of a sudden I am pretty cold to the Emperor. So I think we'll just Edict. This grows the Nethergoyf. Me playing the Saga this turn means I'm probably not going to be making a token, but I think that that's okay. I think that's okay since I still want to get the Saga in play so that on turn 4 I can Hex Parasite my Overlord. Certainly a little flooded too. All right, so we gain 3 life off the Solitude, offsetting the Street Wraiths a little bit, I guess. They have 4 cards in their hand. They pitched a Felia to the Solitude. They play one of the 4 cards as a tapped Witch Enchanter. Maybe they have another Felia. We draw yet another land. Only 20 lands in this deck, right? Yeah. At the very least, we'll be able to hit a Street Wraith here. Seeing just double Street Wraith in our yard, maybe if they're on Bowmaster, they would respond here. I think I need just I have so many good one drops, and I would really, really, really like to play one if I find it. So I think I'm gonna cycle now, albeit this is certainly worse against Bowmaster. No, we just draw another land. Welcome to twitch.tv/aspiring spike. This is what we do here. I guess I'll keep a Bowmaster. It's a spell. We have Takenuma to get a spell too. We also have the potential Overlord scam, although we'll see how what my opponent can do about that with the Felia. Maybe they have their own Overlord here for Solitude. We also milled an Airship, a bit of an issue. They have a Flickerwisp. The best play in Modern, Flickerwisp your own tapped Witch Enchanter. Oh, they have Vindicate for the Urza Saga. Okay, fair enough. So they got 2 cards left in their hand. Vindicate's kind of a weird one to see, I guess. I do only have 1 Surveil land in the build. Maybe I was thinking maybe I should be playing 2, but let's just see if we can Bowmaster the Felia here. We can channel Takenuma, then hardcast Overlord. Although, unfortunately for us, they have top decked an Overlord. I think they top decked it. Maybe they were worried I had something up that last turn or something. They grab the Solitude here. So probably going to be going to game 2. Unfortunately, super duper flooded. Good thing Magic is a best 2 out of 3 game. So they do have a Solitude in their hand. So I could make them Solitude by just putting this here. And that would leave them with the Felia. I think that I'm going to just try to draw to my second Sheoldred's Edict for the Overlord. Pretty narrow, I guess, but don't exactly foresee it being better to bait the Solitude, I guess. We could also draw another Airship. Beyond that, out's kind of limited, although you just... when you get this flooded, it's always tough. Yeah, I mean, they also just do get a Felia back here, although we didn't know they had the extra untapped land. They grabbed Emperor Bones instead of Felia, which is kind of... maybe they just already have one. I'm going to go to game 3 here. I know we drew a Moonshadow. I think we're not going to win this one. All right, so we're on the play for game 3. Maybe I want to be a little bit more aggressive and bring like the third Goyf back in. Although maybe I think I'm actually going to play second Cecil over Goyf 3 just because they have a good amount of graveyard hate between Emperor Bones, Boggart Trawler, potential, like there's a good chance they've got some sideboard cards, and just being a little less in on Goyf, I think makes those sideboard cards not very effective, if that makes sense. Surprised to see no Hex Page. Well, we've played a lot of Overlord mono black mid range, and we've tested a lot of Hex Mage and Hex Parasite, and I mostly feel like if you have Urza Saga over Hex Parasite, then Hex Mage is kind of unnecessary and kind of a weak draw a lot of the time. And I Hex Mage plus Moonshadow is okay, but it hasn't necessarily been the most exciting either, you know? Like, Moonshadow's just kind of good on its own. Have I seen the couple Legacy mono black Moonshadow decks? No, I haven't. Well, let's keep this 7 on the play. We got spells. Would have really, really liked a Moonshadow or a Cecil or a Goyf. Not sure what we're going to be playing first. I think it'll depend a little bit on the Surveil this turn. So there's a Moonshadow. So I really want to hit a land, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to graveyard the Moonshadow, and this will make it, I think, comfortable enough for me to Overlord this turn. Although, maybe I should be casting the Bowmaster so I can trigger the Obsessive Pursuit off the Verdant Catacombs. I think I'm going to do this. There's also now Goyf. Goyf is 3/4 and it's going to be 4/5 right away. I guess that's just bigger, although could be opening ourselves up to graveyard hate. We also build the other Goyf. Usually a good matchup to impending the Overlord on turn 2 on the play. Opponent siding out Thoughtseizes? Possibly. So they've got an Emperor of Bones. They're going to target my Overlord, I assume, which is going to shrink the Goyf to a 2/3. They target the Nethergoyf instead. Sure. Yeah, we can double 2-drop next turn and potentially just even sack the clue token from Obsessive Pursuit next turn to get 2 counters on the Nethergoyf, although um, maybe more likely to do something else. I remember times when mid-range decks didn't end their curve at 2. Well, this deck's curve ends at 2, but you also have like a lot of flexible things in your mana, like mana sinks, like Pursuit and Overlord of the Balemurk and Urza Saga. So it's nice how flexible I think your mana cost can be. So playing the Saga this turn would be pretty nice, especially with the Pursuit. Although we wouldn't get a counter on the. We wouldn't get a counter. But the Pursuit making tokens makes the Saga stuff really big. Yeah, I think we'll just be okay not attacking with the Goyf, playing Pursuit. Main phase Bowmaster the Flickerwisp to play around Ephemerate and pass back here. It's also kind of just the strength of the black base decks at the moment is that you have a really good 1 and 2 drops, and you have some higher end options, but I think you got to lean into the strength. Them losing a land here was kind of big. Yeah, this is something the Flickerwisp gamers they're always so thirsty to wisp their own land on turn 3. I know obviously it's fine a lot of the times, but and these kind of matchups going down a land, you are definitely right. It is costly sometimes. This 4-drop here is the sideboard for the grinding matchup. I mean, it is. Unironically, it is. So they have an untapped Witch Enchanter. Are they going to Wisp again? The Stone Rain them again? They are. Okay, so they can kill my Pursuit, my Urza Saga, or my Overlord. I think all of them are. It's kind of close. I guess I would target the Pursuits if I were them. The 2/2 does block my Bowmasters, but yeah, they do target the Pursuit. So, a little bit of a. I guess it's kind of even hard to evaluate. Is this a 2-for-1 or what? Well, I think we've got a lot of options, but I think just hardcasting the Overlord is going to be the best of the options. Should grow the Goyf. Do I take a Moonshadow or do I take a Street Wraith? Moonshadow is going to be pretty good with attacking with the Overlord. We want to be getting aggressive. We're pretty insulated against Wrath Disguise with the Overlords here. Yeah, clue for 1, not a 2-for-1. We decided just to take 4. Don't know if I would have landed there, but I don't think they had super good blocks one way or another. It's kind of a tough decision point. I guess now that I'm curving out really well and my opponent's stone raiding themselves twice, I regret sideboarding out the Lavaspur Boots. How strong was the urge to include Hex Mage both with Overlord and Shadow? Not very high at all. I've tested this archetype a lot, and I just don't think... I think when you have Hex Parasite, you don't really care much about playing Hex Mage. So I do think I'm going to Hex Parasite my Overlord this turn. So I guess I'm probably not making a construct. Then let's get the Moonshadow down so we can start growing it, of course. Maybe I should have played the... I guess I should have played the Bauble first so they can't Bowmaster my own Moonshadow. So I think I'm going to send in with everything, even though they have a 2/2 that can block a 1/1. I think that this... we're attacking for so much. I don't think that's going to matter very much. I guess we also had the Hex Parasite to pull counters off the Moonshadow if they did Bowmaster me. If they do have Bowmaster, we can also kill the Orc army before it gets to block. Unless they target the Hex Parasite, then that's not allowed. Another Moonshadow probably over first Cecil. Kind of close. I mean, we've got the Hex Parasite in play. Yeah, it's good. I agree that Emperor has got some synergy here. However, I don't usually like to play Emperor unless I've got some good stuff to reanimate. We do have our own Overlord, but maybe that's just too little. Maybe it's not. Okay, so they do play a Bowmaster. Let's go ahead and let that resolve and see if they target the Hex Parasite. They target my Bowmaster. So why don't we let that resolve? Kill the token with the Hex Parasite. I think I'm also pretty interested in just edicting, despite it not advancing my board state very much. I think it's probably even in our best interest to have these post like Wrath here. Even though Wrath Disguise isn't going to do it, they could just go land Damnation. Why did they grew the Moonshadow from the Orc army killing my Bowmaster? I'm like, wait, why did that trigger? So they keep the Witch Enchanter in play, which I think makes sense since one of their main outs here is going to be Ephemerate, and then they take 6. If they want to upkeep Bowmaster, that's okay because they'll just be super dead on board. So there's a Wisp to flicker the Enchanter to kill one of my 2 Overlords, I guess. There's no way we worm down Hex Parasite. We've played so much Hex Parasite on this channel. I just I mostly just make fun of the Golgari gamers because I just think all the green cards are bad. has always been my main point here on the on this archetype is the green cards don't offer you much, and it's for some reason people default to Golgari. All right, so on the draw with a Great Moonshadow hand. They've got a Flooded Strand, so probably playing Jeskai or Boros. So, well, I mean, I'm definitely playing this now, but one thing is if they have Galvanic Discharge, then I would have been really incentivized, or I could have been somewhat incentivized to wait so that I could have been incentivized to wait so that the Moonshadows could dodge Galvanic Discharge. But I just drew a second Moonshadow, so we're gonna play it. Interesting. Can we talk about how mid-range now means a deck of entirely 1-drops? People have talked about it. I don't. It is literally impossible to satisfy black mid-range gamers. They literally just want to play green-black shitty 3 and 4 drops, it seems, but I think archetypally this deck is definitely a mid-range deck. It's archetypally the play style is definitely bigger and slower than the other Moonshadow decks we've been playing. You have a very flexible mana curve with Urza Saga and Overlord of the Balemurk. Lots of mana sinks. I don't know, but I'm sorry we aren't playing Golgari. All right, I'm gonna Fatal Push the Tamio. I'm gonna Bauble them. Their top card is that's a fairy. Interesting. Thoughts on Sapling Nursery and Fecund Green Shell and a Flare of Cultivation Shell? Nursery make tokens that trigger Green Shell. I don't know either of these cards. I guess I'll read them. So this is the I remember we were trying to what were we trying to combo this with? Was it a Grazer? We had some kind of oh no, it was the Abzan MH3 card. Whenever a land enters, you get an O1 and you're trying to trigger that to like value with Green Shell. It was not very good. And then so I guess Sapling Nursery is similar to that. Is it just like landfall, make a O1? Do I care about Teferi? I don't know that I care about Teferi. Let's ignore it. Squirrel with 6 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Not hanging whatsoever. Just make observation how the term is ironic. Kind of means something different when name implies. I guess I just mostly disagree. Sorry if I sounded snarky or anything. I guess I just mostly disagree. I feel like this is it's just an archetype thing more than a mana curve thing, but I don't know. I don't know. THM with the 11 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate Jim. Oh, this is the new landfall 3/4. So yeah, kind of similar to the Abzan plan we had earlier with that card. Alright, so they do have 2 removal spells, so maybe we will be killing the Teferi with the Cecil now. They've got 3 cards in their hand. I guess we're just up against Jeskai Wizards. But yeah, seems pretty slow overall. Sapling Nursery, it is on our list of cards to build a deck around. I'm really trying for whatever this deck is. I'm really trying for it to be not just. All right, I guess we want to go for Overlord so we can Hex Parasite the Overlord next turn. Whatever this theoretical deck is going to be, I don't want it to be just like just normal Risen Reef Nursery potentially. I don't think it fits that well in Badgermole Cub or Risen Reef at the moment. At the very least, the Badgermole Cub deck has evolved into being such a pure combo deck that it's very hard to imagine that all of a sudden it's going to become, instead of like a pure combo deck, it's going to become like this value Sapling Nursery build. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a different build out there. But I just haven't got around to it yet because it's just been really deep, and I'm also just loving the Moonshadow builds, and I think it's important to figure out all of them. I think it's also important to push the trainer in response to the trigger, so they can't find Flame of Anor, play land, and then 2-mode the Flame of Anor. They do reveal a Consult the Star Charts, which is maybe the worst like hit for them. I can't imagine that there's really like anything less good to hit here than Anticipate. We're going to grab the Hex Parasite. We are going to get a counter on the Moonshadow from the Urza Saga going to the graveyard. And then we are going to peel all the counters off the Overlord so that we can attack with it this turn. And then we're going to grow the Moonshadow when we attack with the Overlord. And then we have the option to grab Street Wraith. We have the option to grab Street Wraith to also grow the Moonshadow again in combat. This is big overkill though. They're super duper dead, but how does Abigail work with Balemurk? Well, Abigail can't target Balemurk while it's an enchantment because it's not a creature. And then when it is a creature, it loses this ability and gains Flying, First Strike, Lifelink. Moonshadow, Asmo, and Ygritte win. I think I'm pretty unlikely to play Moonshadow and Ygritte combo. Maybe I would play it in Soul Trader combo though. So they have a removal spell for the Overlord. So, looks like we're going to put them to 1. Flip the Cecil. They have Consult the Star Charts, 2 mystery cards in their hand. We have 3 lethal attackers. Not the worst place to be. Passes the turn? They go to their combat step at least. Could you use Power Conduit to take 2 counters off Moonshadow at a time? Why would it take 2 counters off? Seems like it would only take 1, right? Well, I guess we're 2 for 2 for bringing in the airships. Was cracking Bauble lethal? I thought I was tapped out. I was tapped out, so you can't sack Vexing Bauble for 0 mana. So I don't think I want to bring in the second Nihil Spellbomb. Do I want to go like just down 2 pushes? They are a Tomio deck. Yeah, I think we want all 4 push on the draw even. 3 or 4. I'm going to cut the Lavaspur Boots against the grindy control deck. Do I want Vexing Bauble? They probably do have Flare of Denial. How important is it to play around Flare of Denial? It might be nice to be able to. The good news is my whole deck seems pretty good against theirs. I guess I just will cut the 4th Fatal Push. I don't want to have 2 copies in my opening hand, so that's probably a good enough reason to cut 1. Chromus with the 39 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Couldn't take a counter off to put a +1 counter on it. Okay, so I guess when you say removes 2 counters at a time, you just mean that it... yeah, I guess it technically does, because it'll just replace one of the -1 counters. Now, Moonshadow is just, like someone in the chat put it really well today, Moonshadow is just kind of good when you play Magic the Gathering, so usually don't think you need to do something like that with the Moonshadow, but it's certainly reasonable. Maybe Edict for Teferi or Flip Tomio. Maybe. I don't like how mana inefficient it is. We're also a Bowmaster deck, so we're a bit better against Teferi maybe than you might expect. So cycling the Wraith now could find me a Bauble, could find me another Wraith. think we'll do it. You know, I think trying to like make them spend one more energy with Galvanic Discharge isn't very exciting at the very least. Is the Moxwell list correct? Looks like no Shadow Spear. Oh, I maybe joined. I think I maybe joined. Oh, they're twin. Cool. We need to play some more of the twin build. I think I actually made some changes and then didn't change the league. Yeah, I ended up cutting the Shadow Spear for the 4th Break the Ice, so not the biggest deal, but I ended up not really feeling like the Shadow Spear has been very good in other builds. Just decided to cut it this time. So getting the Saga down this turn feels nice. Also growing the Moonshadows, of course, always good. Let's prioritize push plus Bowmaster. Remember, Hex Parasite can also scam your Urza Saga or scam your Urza Saga so that you can put the 3rd trigger on the stack and then you can remove a counter from the Urza Saga so it doesn't die. Now I'm gonna go ahead and Fatal Push the Navigator now so they can't Flame of Venor. This is kind of bad against 2nd Deepway Navigator plus Twin, but I think it's okay to not play around that. Instead, they sink my Moonshadow. So I guess we'll just go replay Moonshadow and play Hex Parasite. And of course, we have the ability to also just peel a bunch of counters off Moonshadows if we want to. We're going to have a lot of options next turn, all at instant speed between Bowmaster, Hex Parasite, and Urza Saga. My opponent plays their 4th land. It's a basic mountain. Then they Prismatic Ending the Hex Parasite, which will make my options easier for this turn, I guess. They had a pause there that I'm, like usual, going to read a little bit too much into, but it seemed to me like maybe that pause meant that they have Snapcaster Mage, and they were thinking about Snapcastering the Prismatic Ending and realized they didn't have a 2nd white source. As always, reading a little bit too much into little pauses. Chromis, thank you for the 39 months. I don't think I said thank you, but thank you again. For Mono Blue Granny Cauldron, have I considered swapping the 4-mana Future Sight artifact for Unctus? Then trimming Bauble's Fate Stitcher and Pross for Idyllic Memory and Oval Chase Daredevil to generate more cards in hand and churn more. We've talked about Unctus and the archetype. There's also a combo with Unctus Fate Stitcher that draws your deck, which you're talking about. You could also play... I can never remember the name of the card. It's the Mesmeric Orb. Mesmeric Orb also combos. So, I mean, all of these are, like, I think a fine, valid option. I thought that the Future Sight artifact, Crystal Skull, was great. I thought it was fantastic in that deck, and just I think that you have a little bit of a flawed point that says that Unctus and Pross would churn more. Crystal Skull sees way more cards. It sees way more cards than Unctus and Oval Chase Daredevil and Pross would, in my opinion. Crystal Skull was just very, very good. Okay, so they can Flage a Moonshadow. They target the smaller Moonshadow instead of the bigger one. So they're just that scared of Street Wraith, I guess. I don't know if they can afford to be that scared of Street Wraith. Look at this value we're getting from the Urza Saga, baby. So sacking the Nihil Spellbomb is +1 damage, +1 on the Nethergoyf, +1 on the Moonshadow, -1 on the Construct. Then we don't have a sorcery either, so this grows the Goyf. We'll play it pre-combat. They've got a Flage and a Navigator. We'll just go and take the Navigator and get in for 14, putting them down to 1 life point, which is notably not 0. We could Bowmaster shoot itself. I guess that's true, yeah. I don't know that I would. Maybe I would. Yeah, I agree. Shadow Spear is mostly only an anti-Prowess sideboard card, and it is nice to have in that matchup. Prowess has also been big on the decline. So we do have it here, but I did swap it for the Break the Ice and then didn't rejoin the league this morning. Our opponent was last seen 8 days ago against playing Boros Energy. If I knew they were still playing Boros Energy, I would keep this. I don't know if I would just mulligan this without the goldfish bot telling me what they were playing last. Why am I off Hex Mage now? Not efficient enough for Parasite better. Yeah, Parasite's better if you want to play Saga, and if you don't want to play Saga, you can play some Hex Mages. This is a conclusion that we reached a long time ago testing the tech. Um, yeah, I guess I don't know. I was just thinking, could we surveil that in the yard for some value? But I think clearly not. Did we? I think this is our first time playing against Boros this week. I remember we were really kind of wanting to play test it against it with some of the other decks. All right. Well, I am now officially a play, or I've been a play around Mana Tithe gamer for a little bit, so we'll play around the Mana Tithe. I wonder if Moonshadow can make the card brought back playable again. I guess I don't know why it would. Mostly like brought back is like it's like an Ameria card. Brought back is like it's mostly like I can cast Elish Norn turn 3, and then I can actually get enough planes in play for Ameria, and I can scam my Solitude. Um. So yeah, I guess I don't see the vision quite yet. Thanks, Dodo. Yeah, thanks for all the happy partner anniversaries. I wish I could say thanks to all of them, but it's been a lot. It's a cool button they added. I think I'd be tempted to play 2 Phoenix over Cecil in this list. Tiny Red Splash is basically free. I mean, we are Tiny Red Splashing. I think cutting Cecil's tough. Like your chief threat count gets really low at that point. But yeah, I agree. You could maybe play Phoenix. Interesting that this card is just like making it in the Boros decks finally. I think it's fine. There's so many cards like this now. And they're just all mostly worse than fetch lands in Arena of Glory. So we're hoping that they target the Goyf and I can Fatal Push to grow it. Thanks, okayest gamer. Appreciate you. They unfortunately target the Cecil instead. I'm gonna Fatal Push the Ajani just because it's a 1/2 more so than I'm scared of it here. They don't quite have enough cards to escape the Flage either. Let's just attack. I don't think I want to be pushing the token or cycling the Cling. I'm going to save the Cling for the Flage. Oh, sorry. Obviously, I need to play the Moonshadow first because of this block. So maybe that'll be really relevant. We'll see. Thoughts on Tiny Blue Splash over Red for recall with weapons and Turtle recall seems like it's upside. Meltdown is better. Battle. Meltdown is better. It just is. We don't need to go too into depth here, but they're really good at just redeploying their hand with recall. Like recall like requires that you're ahead on board for it to work, and then Meltdown is just good early, and then Meltdown plus Sheoldred's Edict can deal with Kappa Cannoneer. All right, so they got 4 cards in their hand, a fetch land on the stack. 7 cards in the yard for the Cling, maybe 8 soon with the Fatal Push. Mac with the 14 months, welcome back. On the 9 a.m. meeting, we're start playing Golgari Saga, minus green, yep. That is what this deck is. We're playing all of the available good green cards. Okay, that's a Ranger Captain. I dislike these arts, I don't know what to tell you. So if I attack with Moonshadow, they would have to double block, although the upside of attacking is not super high. Vexing Bauble makes my Moonshadow a 2/2 and makes my Goyf a 4/5, which is pretty good. So I could cycle the Wraith after they block if I want to. I don't think I even want to trade. I think I just want to keep the Moonshadow growing. All right. Probably not getting a better turn to Thoughtseize. All right, we'll take the Thraben Charm. And then let's get in with just Goyf. Yeah, I think they'll snap off the double block of the Moonshadow, and the Moonshadow just is going to be really large and potentially really in charge. And here in a second, they decide this Ragavan is useless, and not useless, worth 5 life points. Their hand is Guide of Souls, land, mystery card. That land is an Elegant Parlor. They play the Elegant Parlor first to see if they can surveil Flage in the yard, which I'll have a streamer moment if they do. Can't you just push Ranger? I could just push Ranger. I think I'd rather save the Fatal Push for the Guide of Souls. But yeah, I could have pushed the Ranger. Maybe that was a little bit better. I played a lot of this deck, and I kind of like a tiny green splash for Might as a Saga target. I agree you can play Might. I haven't liked Might as much as I have in previous versions of the modern format, but I agree you can play Haywire Might. I also think that like I don't even know that I would main deck it in this metagame, and then I do think that the meltdowns are better against Affinity than any splashable green card, because like the good green cards are double green. I don't think you really want to play Culling Ritual in this deck. So I don't know. I agree. Haywire might be the one good green card that we're not playing. Did I take a class on commentary at some point? No, but I've been doing this professionally for that's my 6-year partner anniversary. So I just experience on the job, I guess. And they got one card in their hands, another copy of Ranger Captain. They get an Ocelot Pride, no life gained this turn. Got a lot of good top decks here, and we're also very ahead on board. Okay, so Hex Parasite with the ability to peel 2 counters off of a Moonshadow to make both Moonshadows lethal. Although I guess not lethal if they block on the Goyf. I mean, we're just going to get in with these. Okay, so I guess I needed to sit in with the Orc army too. I can make this 5 power, which doesn't change anything. Yeah, I guess I'll just grow this Goyf or this Moonshadow, put them to 1. Itachi with the 9 months. Thank you. Welcome back. So they're at 1. I think we should have attacked with the Orc. There's not much they can draw in game 1, though. If they had one more land, Flage would save them. Yeah, dogs are doing good. I hiked Athena yesterday, and she like got in some mud because it's like I guess the ice was still melting, and she like tracked mud all in the back seat. And so after the hike, I took the car to a car wash, and they did draw Flage. I think they're dead on board though. I took the car to a car wash, thinking that's what you do when you have a muddy car. And are they dead on board? They jumped a Goyf. Yeah, they're dead on board. I took the car to a car wash, and I rolled down the back seat, and it wasn't that much mud. It was all just on the back seat, not on the floors. And I'm like, hey man, how much is it going to be to clean the back seat here? And he goes, ooh. And then imagine, I can't whistle, but imagine he goes, ooh, whistle. Ugh, whistle. Let me talk to my manager. And then he comes back and he's like, okay, I want you to guess how much money he he said it would be to do just the back seat. Just the back seat. Okay, I'm gonna bring in the second Nihil Spellbomb. I'm gonna bring in the first Needle. I'm gonna cut the Lavaspur Boots again. The Boots maybe are not gonna be staying in the main deck. Okay, this it was $140, which I thought was a crazy amount. 200, 250. Maybe I'm out of touch. He said $140 to clean it up, and I'm like, I just took it home. It took me like 10 minutes. It took me like 10 minutes to clean. All right, cut the Vexing Bauble. Maybe I'm out of touch. But it literally took me 10 minutes. I thought it was so silly. Keep in mind he was detailing was expensive. I guess so, but I didn't ask for a full detail. I just asked for just the back seat. I got Thoughtseize number 4, I think. I don't know if I like Obsessive. Let's keep the Obsessive Pursuit. I haven't played it a ton in the matchup. I do want to try some more Shadow Spear, even though I don't think it's great. Maybe I've got too many cards for the matchup. Yeah, only 2 airships on the board. Maybe we're just gonna go. Although I probably minimum 2. Could probably cut a Wraith. They're pretty aggressive. So we're on the draw with a 1-lander, but a 1-lander with a Bauble, and I guess the Shadow Spear is pretty tough. I think I'm gonna keep. This hand's very borderline though. Okay, if I knew that was my top card, maybe I would have mulliganed. But let's see if we have a land on top or if we are going to fetch. Okay, let's fetch. I'm going to go ahead and play the Goyf instead of trying to surveil. I'm playing super scared. Maybe this gets discharged. That'd be kind of bad. Has Pursuit been good? Airships outside of the combo. Yeah, I mean, you could look at some of the older iterations of this deck, but we've played Pursuit in this kind of shell before. We played Airship in this kind of shell before. And totally reasonable cards. Like Airship isn't a combo card; it's like an outgrind the fair deck card, and it seems totally fine. All right, so they discharge my Nethergoyf. Unfortunately, I draw another Bauble, not a second land. Here's one though. They don't have a 1 or a 2 mana creature, so I'm a bit worried their hand is like full of like 4 mana sagas, although I've got my own 4 mana saga adjacent card, I guess. Alright, I think I need to hold up Bowmaster for Seasoned Pyromancer, so let's not surveil. Yeah, second Clues does grow Moonshadow. Oh, sorry, not Clues. I thought you meant Bauble. Clues did not grow Moonshadow, no. Second Fatal Push. A bit worse against their no 1-drop draw, although there's a 1-drop. Maybe they've got a Thraben Charm available. I do feel like I'm just going to lose to their 4-drops, and I'm not going to be able to cast my 4-drop, but that's how it goes sometimes. Although, maybe I will be able to cast my 4-drop. Probably should be playing a 1-drop. Let's play the one that doesn't die to creature removal, since it seems really likely they've got some creature removal in their hand here. Could this deck play Wintermoon in the side? It could. One thing about Wintermoon is it's like siding it in is kind of weird. Maybe even main decking Wintermoon would be okay. Alright, I think I just want to surveil, try to find a fetch land. Be sad if they have Galvanic, or sorry, Celestial Purge. I'm going to keep that though, especially with the Hex Parasite in my hand. Really nice on this board, I think. Can grab a pretty big Goyf. Okay, they purge my Overlord, so this ended up working out really well that we get a good 2-for-1, and then they usually only play 1 or 2 purge, so it's gonna be tough for them to deal with Airship, although maybe they've got like Wear Tears. And they Thraben Charm, so we might get a 3-for-1 here. We do get a 3-for-1, nice. Probably better to hold up push for would you push Ragavan here? I would push a Johnny a lot of the time, or most of the time. So I think I'm holding it up still, but but they get the Spyro in a turn where I can't Bowmaster, and they discard Flage with Arena of Glory. So we really need to draw Graveyard Hate, or maybe a fetch land, but we draw neither, and I guess we're cooked. 10 1-drops is cool. I kind of dislike Cecil. Could Emperor Bone swap in? Works well. I mean, you could, yeah, you could if you want to. It's fine. You're allowed to. I think Cecil's pretty good. Not out of this yet, of course. So we're going to go down to 11 life points. And then it's kind of an interesting decision point. So I can go Bowmaster and Elemental token. And then what I could do is I could take 3, block here, go to 8. And then I could Bowmaster the other Elemental so I have another blocker. Conversely, I could block the Elemental token. I think that's just going to be better. Wintermoon was good in Commander and Mono Green. Don't know about Modern. So there is a spot I really do like Wintermoon. I like Wintermoon if you're playing a Karn the Great Creator deck that has some basics, where it's just a great tutor target that just wins the game if your opponents haven't respected it, and you only ever get it when it's good, and it just stays hiding in your sideboard otherwise. I want to play Moonshadow, make a Saga token. The next turn we can Airship with the Sacrifice trigger. Stalker could replace Cecil. It's like a Moonshadow from Wish. I'll say this. I've played a lot of Stalker. Cecil is better. I've played a lot of Stalker, a lot of Cecil. Cecil is better than Stalker. Yeah, so Moonshadow, 1 mana, gain 3, basically. They played another Season Pyromancer. We can technically kill the Flage, right? Oh, no, it's only 4 triggers. I wonder if they ever sack the Ranger Captain if I, like, after I tap Saga for a mana. Probably not very often. We drew Fatal Push, so... What did they grab? They grabbed a Guide of Souls, no energy in the pool. So kind of an interesting decision point, whether to play Airship and get 2 counters. Notably, if we do that, then we also have a 5/5 construct. Alternatively, we can Fatal Push the Flage, get Nihil Spellbomb, equip Shadow Spear, and Nihil Spellbomb the Flage. I think I'm going to go for the Airship. Especially because the Spellbomb next turn triggers the Airship as well. It just seems like we're stabilized here. Pretty cool decision point, though. So it has Guide of Souls, 2 mystery cards. They start their turn off by sacrificing an Arid Mesa, getting a basic Plains. They play a Guide of Souls. We do not want to see this get tapped for Exert. Okay, then they play a Johnny, so they have the ability to minus the Johnny to deal 5 damage. Is their last card Goblin Bombardment? Kind of seems like it's another 2-drop. It's another Johnny. So I think they miss lethal, or no, they just have lethal. They just a Johnny me, Flage me. And they also could give the Flage flying, so. Alright, game 3 on the play. This is scary thinking we have to wrath our board, essentially. Are you talking about that turn? We didn't have to... on blocks? That's not what was happening, unless I'm misunderstanding your comment. Yeah, not like we could have played around that. How do I feel about my sideboarding? I think it's okay. Yeah. Would the other line of Fatal Flage have saved me? We might have been alive, but we would have been losing. I think we probably were still dead to the Guide of Souls Fly plus a Johnny activation. Although I guess we'd have a lifelink construct. Maybe we were alive there. Alright, on the play. Alright, I'm gonna keep my 7, probably leading on the Moonshadow. Do I cycle? I guess I cycled the Wraith immediately to try to find Bauble. Was the line ever the Bowmaster, double target Flage, triple block? I think I kind of liked my line more, but possibly I'd have to think a little bit more about it. We do find the Bauble. I guess I want to sec now, because if I draw Street Wraith on their turn, I could save my Moonshadow from a discharge. They're on 16. I'm at 18. Yeah, I am gonna cut the Shadow Spear for the next league. But possibly it is not even right to board it in this matchup. Can you speak to your game plan going into these matches? Am I mostly thinking about trying to grow creatures, remove what you want? You know, I used to be an article writer for Magic, and a lot of times writing Magic articles is waxing poetic about your plans and matchups and how and stuff like this. And that's all fine and dandy, but the reality is, and this is the case for most of the time, is that every single card in this deck kind of has a different application. Fucking rat the skies. Every single card in this deck kind of has a different application in this matchup, if that makes sense. Um, like Goyf and Moonshadow are good early creatures. Bowmaster is good against Ragavan, Ocelot, Pride, Seasoned Pyromancers. Your Graveyard Hate's good against Flage. Your Urza Saga is good against Bombardment because they can get Needle. You know, you still have Hex Parasite scamming your Overlord, all this. And so it's like, it looks like I can't save the Moonshadow with the Surveil. Um, and so it's like, you know, you kind of you more or less like, you know, don't mulligan very aggressively. So in these matchups where you don't mulligan very aggressively, it's hard to be like, yes, my plan is perfectly coming together and it's formulated to beat these Boros gamers. You just kind of like play the cards that they play in the matchup as you draw them. All right, well, let's see if we can draw Cling to Dust or Nihil Spellbomb off the Pursuit here. I didn't see Spear Moxo to replace Needle. It's not in the we cut it for the Break the Ice, and I forgot to change the sideboarding. Maybe I would have had third Thoughtseize in over Shadow Spear to deal with Wrath Disguise. All right, come on, if we draw a Graveyard Hate here, we're in good shape. But barring that, we're not in good shape. It's so dumb the premier aggro deck in the format can play Wrath. Yeah, for real. Are they gonna Wrath my Pursuit? Okay, so this gives me a window to draw more Graveyard Hate. I am playing only one Surveil land. Did we miss? I was thinking maybe I would take an Overlord over another Nethergoyf here if I found one. I didn't find one. To be fair, I always shove green into black decks because it's the set of shock match I have in paper. Not a great reason. I know it is funny people always default to Golgari in this archetype. Parasite's been good. I do think we're going to be, unfortunately, 2-1, but I think the deck's looking pretty good overall. Just, you know, you lose to Wrath the Sky sometimes. Sometimes you beat it. Technically still a winnable game. Yeah, if we draw Overlord this turn, I think that maybe the, like, I don't think that the Sheoldred's Edict is really going to do it. I'm going to name Goblin Bombardment, not Arid Mesa. So let's get rid of one of our lands, one of our artifacts that's not Hex Parasite, one of our creatures, and then we have one instant and one enchantment. So I guess I'll get rid of instant. Got more of those. I guess actually may have more, maybe we have more enchantments. No, we have one more instant. Also, instant's a bit easier to get in the yard if we draw it. No, you can't Pithing Needle Flage. I did think that Escape was like an activated ability you put on the stack when it first came out. I thought it was um I thought you could like respond to it with Graveyard Hate. I remember I played against Jabberwocky really soon after Uro got released, and he escaped his Uro, and I had Ooze in play and I didn't exile the Uro because I thought I could just respond to the cast. But no, it goes. I remember it going on the stack. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is broken. So we're probably going to be losing game. They boarded in char. I guess I'm in a Saga deck. Flyer's pretty good here too. My Shadow Spear's already gone. Airship can't save me. So we're 2-1. Frustrating sideboard games here, but that's how this format goes sometimes. But I'm not playing any other color cards because I just genuinely don't think it's worth it. I think we are splashing Meltdown in the sideboard. I do think that this is what you want to splash. Any additional color splash is really tough. I think Meltdown is the best thing to splash. Covers the hardest space to cover, which is the Affinity sideboard hate, which you just don't have in mono black. And I know a lot of people default to. We've been saying this a lot, but I know a lot of people default to Golgari in this archetype, and I just really do think Golgari sucks. Because they're on coffers. I really like one Cling to Dust in deck. I think it's correct. Yeah, we're playing it. Might want to play a second copy. Okay, definitely keeping that on the multi-5 here. Although bad against Thoughtseize. Bummer. Although it does grow the Goyf. It's also, you know, having a less painful mana base in your Thoughtseize Street Wraith deck, it is relevant. It's not like there's just zero downside to not being heavy on a second color. So Crack the Bauble main phase is better if I draw Bowmaster, worse if they Force of Despair is so good. Worse if they have a discard spell sometimes. Been trying all your Moonshadow decks, trying to learn it. I do lots of watching, not a lot of playing, so I grinding matches paper. Can you unpack your approach to sideboarding? I often feel like it's too many things in and out. No. Sorry, is going to be my teacher answer. Is that it just I like. Can you unpack your sideboarding is a very simple question for like it just I can't explain to you the whole sideboarding process for a deck mid stream or anything, but if you do have a specific question about specific sideboard plans, sideboard cards, I'd be happy to answer. But can you unpack your sideboarding? I just, you know, I unfortunately cannot be an interactive YouTube short. So they have 6 mana if they play second coffers, or 5 if they play just any other land. 5 mana. This grows the Goyf. They're down to 4 life. That's true. The life loss with Cecil, you know, some tension there. You do have a shock land you can get, though. Up a game. Shout out Force of Despair. This is the Force of Despair Twitch chatters don't tell you about, by the way. And I guess we'll leave in the Vexing Bauble. I mean, it's just good against coffers in general, isn't it? Airship should be good, too. Board an Airship every match. Maybe the meta is just more grindier than I realized. Probably want to have, like, 3 push. I don't get how Risen Reef is playable in a meta that has Bowmasters. Honestly, it's not that bad against Bowmasters. Is like it doesn't trigger the ETB trigger doesn't trigger Bowmasters. You can go Risen Reef Subtlety the Bowmasters. If they do Bowmaster your Risen Reef, you're getting like a 2 for 2 basically. It's not that bad. Like when Risen, if you don't have card draw in your deck, and maybe you do in some of your Risen Reef decks, but if you don't have card draw and you do have 1 toughness creatures, like Bowmaster is like a 2 mana removal spell. It's that has also raised the alarm. It's not insurmountable. No, not Shadow Spear against Necro, I would think. Or, I mean, they might not be playing Necro, but I think Force of Despair implies it. Could this deck play Flare of Malice? No, you would need stuff like Stitcher Supplier. You need black creatures that are good to sacrifice, right? And we want to keep all of our creatures in play. So this is a tough matchup to mulligan in, as our opponent's playing roughly 1,000 1-mana discard spells. So I think on the draw in this matchup, I'll keep. I like Moonshadow Flare to slow Flage game less, for example. I mean, does that not sound like an awful game plan against Flage? Like, I would just much rather play Graveyard Trespasser or like an extra Graveyard Hate spell instead of 3 for 1ing myself. You can play first Edict before first Push. I think Push kills everything of theirs, though. So I think I'm down to save the Thoughtseize. If I draw Moonshadow off the Wraith, I'll play that. If I draw Moonshadow off the Wraith, I'll play that. I'm an NPC with scheduled lines. I'm going to go ahead and crack the Bauble now. This is worse against a discard spell, but better against Bowmaster. But yeah, saving this for the Necro I think is fine. Ashiok and Vexing Bauble are the ones I'm always on the line out because the mana investment, I'm not sure what they're aimed at. Okay, great question. So Ashiok is a card I almost only bring in against Neoform and Titan. You would maybe bring it in against something like Dredge also, or like maybe Badgermole combo because they play all the like Summoner's Packs and Formidable Speakers and stuff, but almost exclusively just anti-Titan, anti-Neoform. And then Vexing Baubles, in addition to being good against Neoform, is Vexing Bauble is good against Neoform, and Vexing Bauble is also good against Affinity, Living End. It's okay against Titan because it stops the Summoner's Packs, but you don't really want to be that in on it necessarily. And it's also something you can bring in against Solitude decks too. So Vexing Bauble, very versatile. Could even be main decking it potentially. All right, gonna graveyard that. So get in for 3. They're at 11. My Goyf being 4 toughness is kind of awkward here. So if they do play Necro into Soul Spike, we're kind of cooked. We don't actually know that they are playing Necro. They said they're playing Spicy Coffers. The Force of Despair is what I'm basing the Necro thoughts on, but they might not even be playing it. Isn't Coffers on Karn and basically no creatures? Well, I don't know that that's what they're doing. They said Spicy. I saw Force of Force of Despair. That made me think that they're playing a Necro Coffers build and which is going to be playing some amount of Sheoldred Bowmaster, I would think. But maybe we'll find out. Like if they had no creatures, then they would probably have Kihira. They could cast Kihira. I would prepare to get Culling Ritualed. Yeah, I think playing Overlord can play around that kind of well. They do get a Cabal Coffers, but then they Bajuka Bog me. Thankfully, the Overlord can grow the Goyf again, although can't quite bring stuff back. So we do not... oh, sorry. I guess I'll just correct my error on the Boots second main phase, but -1 damage here. I wish to remember the simpler days of Modern where you just splash white because it had all the best hate cards. You know, I remember that too, but was it really that way, or was it just that specific, like did it have all the best hate cards, or was it just Stony Silence and Rest in Peace were good? Because I kind of feel like that was it. Stony Silence and Rest in Peace were good. So the Vexing Bauble off the Saga can deal with the Profane Tutor, and now that I drew the Hex Parasite, I don't even need to worry about which one I'm getting here. Stony Silence, Rest in Peace, Kataki. Well, slipping Kataki in there is kind of funny because it was just mostly worse than Stony Silence by what I remember. Yeah, Purge, yeah. I don't know if this enchant was good. I can't remember it being good. When I started playing Modern, like Wear Tear was really everywhere. So they got 1 card in their hand. There's the Cabal Coffers. They have 6 mana or 5 mana on the top of the coffers, then a total of 8. Sanctifier. Well, we're talking about like back when when white was the sideboard card color, so like pre-Image 2. But I think it was really just Rest in Peace and Stony Silence were good. Oh yeah, Core Firewalker. Okay, yeah, it was more. Dude, Core Firewalker was nuts. You know, Burn being a tier 1 deck was so good for Modern. It was so good for Modern. I did like our Mardu May deck. That deck was pretty good. A fun deck to trophy with. When you pull in Bauble, would you look to remove Thoughtseize or something else? You almost never will cut Vexing Bauble or Thoughtseize and Vexing Bauble matchups because Thoughtseize is almost always good in those matchups. A lot of times Fatal Push. Sometimes you'll trim a Mishra's Bauble because they're a little bit awkward with the Vexing Baubles, although not that awkward. Holy guacamole! It is Spicy Tron or Spicy Coffers. Wait, where's Amori? Where is he? They're just playing Push, but Force of Despair. All right, you know they got 5 mana after this. Oh yeah, Leyline of Sanctity. That's true. Yeah, when Burn was a tier 1 deck in Modern, it was like budget decks were so much better because it was really easy for your budget deck to be good against Burn. So like you would just at least have a good matchup. You would at least have a good matchup. Although my Grixis Delver deck could never beat Burn, and my friend Tony, I would go to FNM, and 2 weeks in a row, I went Tasigur turn 2 on the play, game 1 against Burn. This is the only way my Grixis Delver deck could beat Burn was turn 2 Tasigur on the play. And 2 weeks in a row, he miracled Thunderous Wrath. He miracled Thunderous Wrath 2 weeks in a row. Alright, so I think we just peel off the Overlord and let this kill my Parasite. Not the most impressive Dark Petition in the world. They've got no cards in their hand. I think I'm actually just going to go Overlord, back Hex Parasite, and get Vexing Bauble. Maybe I'll get back Nethergoyf instead. It's a 5-power creature. Check his PC. No, Tony's the luckiest guy I've ever met. There's a lot of lucky Tony stories I've told, but he was the secretary on our college's League of Legends team, and they won a big tournament that gave him free college. He was lightly bumped by 2 different police officers in his car, leading to massive settlements. 2 different times. All right, let's get a 4-1 prediction going. He is the only burn player that we all agreed should play Thunderous Wrath. NRG with the 2 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Didn't he get hit by a bus? I don't think he got hit by a bus. I think it was lightly tapped by 2 parked cars, but the legend of Tony maybe grows every day. Oh, also Tony, he went to I can't remember what is the store called. It's a chain store. They sell like movies. And he found a magic deck box in the store. All right, let's keep this on the draw. Although the Moonshadow is going to be kind of small here. He found a magic deck box in the store. He bought the deck box because he thought the deck box was cool. It was an old one. Inside was like a playset of Badlands, Reanimates, Necromancies, Entombs, like a ton of just like legacy cards. But I think the playset of Badlands was the biggest, but it was crazy. No, not Blockbuster. It's one that's still around, but I can never remember the name of it. And this is all completely real. It's just like, and no one even doubts it anymore. It's like living proof that karma is real. I guess we'll play the Overlord. Does grow the Moonshadow, maybe by 2 if we find Street Wraith. Although we do brick, which is a big bummer. They've got Natty Tron. Are y'all getting Natty Tron this much? Dang, we almost had the 4th Break the Ice on the board. Let's go game 2. Yeah, so the Shadow Spear should be 4th Break the Ice. Almost escaped the league without it mattering. I guess we'll play the Karn. I do actually want some Fatal Push, seeing Fleshraker and Thought-Knot Seer. Gonna cut the Vexing Bauble and the Nihil Spellbomb. Yeah, let's do this. They should have never printed the 4th Tron land. And, you know, you're joking. In Legacy, there is a 4th Tron land. It's like Planar Nexus? It's literally like 4th Tron land. It's crazy. I never get Natty Tron. I never play Modern either. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, not Planar Nexus. What is that card called? Something Nexus. It's like it was one of the unset cards that made it to Legacy. No room to jam Edicts. I don't love Edict against them. It's okay. Maybe it's a bit better than the pushes. It's hard to mulligan 1-drop Break the Ice. Let's not. It is Planar Nexus. All right. Urza's Workshop. Add colorless for each Urza land you control, only if you have Metalcraft. That card's crazy. Alright, so do we break the ice turn 1, or do I play Goyf Lavaspur Boots? Let's see. So my opponent said no to... Okay, so they said no to a bunch of spells, basically. So obviously they could have also just had a spell here, but... It's kind of giving that they would need lands. So I'm going to go for the Break the Ice. Might be wrong. They've got an Upkeep Stop. Maybe they have a Dismember. So maybe if I draw my land, I don't want to Lavaspur Boots my Goyf and let it die to Dismember. Yeah, I think I'll just start off by attacking with Cecil. Maybe again, just always, anytime you pause against me, I read too much into it. Going to fetch Shock with the Marsh Flats so I can flip the Cecil, I guess. Sounds crazy. Boots is such a better Saga target main deck, in my opinion. Main deck. So they did have Natty Tron or Double Devourer Tron. It is in the main deck. Are you saying just it's better Saga target game one? I have been kind of unhappy with it so far this league. I think I just agreeing. I'll say it's been pretty bad the whole stream today for whatever that's worth. Second Cecil looking pretty bad too. I would have definitely hasted the Goy Fluster instead of saying Bowmasters. Well, we had this whole conversation about this member, which was probably in the hand because they're paused, and I was right! I was right! Because they paused for like forever on my upkeep with just one mana, like they had this member. DRC seems so important for Moonshadow. Yeah, I mean she's been very good. I agree. I like this build. This build's definitely slower and grindier. It's play a little bit more relaxed. They play a waste here. They're pretty dead. We're probably going to game 3. Ice broken. Oh, sorry. Classic. Was I as good at reading pauses in paper as well? Yeah. I genuinely felt like I was incredibly good at reading people in paper. I think it was a big part of my skill at one point. I think that now I'm not very good at it. But you know, there was a time when I was a paper grinder, not a Magic Online player, and I was, I mean, I could really read a gamer. So they're alive after they chump block the constructs. Do they find Tron here, and will that be enough to save them if they do? There's a flesh trick. I mean, maybe I get thought on Seared here. Maybe that's a bad reason to crack the bauble, although hard to imagine Seer will matter a lot here. All right, so we do go to game 3. Is it wrong not to have any meltdowns in? I think I want to cut the pursuit for a meltdown. I mean, it's a bit awkward with some my artifacts. Yeah, I'll just play 1. I think it's good to have an out to Chalice and Bridge. I kind of can't believe they live there. Is K-Command really good? Yeah, it's really important that K-Command always save you every single turn of the game. Forever. A little lazy here. It's okay. There's a Karn on top. Maybe we'll take that with Thoughtseize. Certainly a little bit scared of turn 1 Expedition map, although they do not have another Tron piece in their hand. Probably. They play Ugin's Labyrinth without imprinting anything, and they Chalice on 1, and holy guacamole! I sure did board in. I sure did board in a meltdown, y'all. Sometimes you just see the future. Yeah, being able to get the map here is big. Take your time on my upkeep, opponent. I'm enjoying just hanging out with you here. Am I playing the challenge? Not today. I'll play one on Friday. Yeah, Meltdown's great for content. Pre-scheduled. So they play a power plant. Maybe I should have attacked first. Like, I don't know. They probably K-Command still. Still in pretty good shape. They do have Tron, and then they're okay. Okay. uh, tough. Time to have a meltdown. All right, they get bridge. We played our only meltdown. I think we'll move on. So 3-2 that league. Both matches, both losses, kind of rough. Kind of classic mono black mid range. Still probably liking the Rakdos Moonshadow, the build of all the Moonshadow builds, but it's nice that you kind of just can play this in a slower build like this, of course. I think I am going to move on to the backup deck today. I think I'm getting a little antsy only playing one deck a day so far this week, and I've been really wanting to get to this. We have a lot of stuff to get to.